Oh boy.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Codemaster Hard Rock back at it again with another chaotic video. Now, as you can see, my face, this is not a normal video. When this whole little bit's over, you guys will be seeing in the background some of more of the match between me and Raimi Sarud. As well as maybe, whatever I decide to put up. But today we're going to be talking about Chaotic, The Marillion Chronicles, The Client Sphere by Aaron Rosenberg, which, let's check out the premise. And what I'm going to be doing for you guys is I'll be going over each chapter, Cliff Notes version. I'm not going to go over every single little passage, but I am going to go over little details and spots that I thought might have been important, for you guys to know about. So we're going to read this little back, and as soon as I'm done reading you guys a little Netflix premise, as I like to call it, we'll just jump right into the Cliff Notes. Thousands of years ago, a Mapedian High Mugus discovered the Khilian Sphere, an amazing stone with the ability to control minds, a power that, within the wrong hands, can be used to control all of Param. However, when the fluid morpher Mahadil becomes aware of the power of the Khilian Sphere, he sets out to steal the stone for the Marillions. If Mahadil succeeds, will Param be able to survive the rise of the Marillions? Given that this story takes place thousands of years ago, I guess we know where that's going. Alright, so right from the top, we have the prologue, which is the fight against Oni between Kaor, Maxor, and Aparu. Moving on. Chapter 1. It claims that centuries earlier, a Mapedian named Kalai, who is a High Mugus who seeks to find balance and to resolve peace between the tribes, took her apprentice Varakar, a Muge, to see a floating fortress near the edge of Lake Kenepo named Kaizef. Kaizef seems to be where all the High Muge and Muguses meet in place to discuss a way to unite the tribes. Kaizef also seems to be quite the journey for any creature anywhere, taking potentially days to reach the mountains to see the citadel alone. The way to enter Kaizef is to use Mugic and float upwards from the very bottom of the peak or anywhere towards Kaizef. Kaizef is a large mass that is connected by 4 smaller islands attached by ropes, pulley systems, and bridges that connect to one another. We're also introduced to Giratin, the High Muge of the Underworld. He is described as tall and broad-shouldered with thick arms and a deep chest, looking more warrior than Muge. Large taloned hands, massive horns, long fangs, and leathery wings, which allowed him to reach Kaizef without the assistance of Mugic. Within Kaizef also lies the Chamber of Emperors, a meeting island which allows access to all 4 miniature islands attached to Kaizef. It's more of a castle than an island, though. In the Chamber of Emperors lies 4 thrones, 1 for each elemental emperor. We are also introduced to Litik, High Muge of the Danians. He's described as having large, faceted eyes, 4 arms, 4 legs, a narrow chitin armored chest, and we are also met with Sonara, the High Mugus of the Overworld. She's described as a cat-like Mugus with a long, soft tail, almond-shaped eyes, striped silver fur, triangular ears, and a blue cloak. She is the closest to Kalai in terms of friendship and other relations. It's also hinted that Litik and Kalai have a negative relationship, seeing as it's revealed that the Mapedians and Danians don't get along to them fighting over food sources in Paran. A magician ritual is conducted and a currently unnamed singular Mugic is casted by all of them together, making this the first canon Mugic to require a Mugic from one of each tribe that isn't a Marillion or anyone from the Frozen or any other unnamed tribe. They all report peace within each tribe and conclude the meeting by casting, presumably, the same Mugic as previously stated. Giratin is described as being fast while flying, making a thunder sound as he went from full view to a dark shape over the horizon. Litik crawls away like a bug, clinging like an ant or a spider, which is not a bug, but anyway. Sonara walks away, acting like a normal person, and Kalaya offers Varakar the opportunity to explore Kaizef. This will end Chapter 1. Okay, Chapter 2. Kalaya explains to Varakar why they conduct the meetings, and it's to alert each other about the potential threats of Param and reminds him of a plague long ago called the Wasting Sickness, which killed Varekar's aunt and 2 cousins. This was an example to show how the previous High Muges dealt with a major issue and are educated about Khilian's master, Marinak. He got his fellow High Muges together to help banish this disease away forever. It's explained to Varekar that he'll have to conduct these meetings every day just like her, in which he seems very uneager to do so just yet. The first stop was the Tower of Air in the island of elemental air called the Storms, to which Varekar really geeks out about. Varekar learns about that Kaizef was discovered by the High Muge Ornur back in the day. Ornur was described as one of the greatest muges in history of Param, and he also is an overworlder. It's revealed that there used to just be only one High Muge, and that title got passed down further and further until the tribes were formed, such as his master Drillanek and his master Sidek, who was a Mahadil. It's also a small detail, but at a point, blood is mentioned to be flown through every creature. It's also revealed that all air/Mahadil music comes from something called the air vortex, which is a physical spot in Kaizef, specifically in the Storms. Those who touch these vortices get fused into them, turning into magical spirits, unlike those from the Spirit Lands, or so it seems. It is revealed that you can teleport to Kaizef safely and not have to hike it up like the other Mahadilians who had done so in Chapter 1. And this will end Chapter 2. Alright, buckle up, kiddos. Here comes Chapter 3. We're introduced to Zartak, an overworlder who defends Kordak Falls. We're also introduced to Raritage, a spiky underworld commander resembling a snake. It's revealed that Kordak Falls is a neutral territory welcome to all tribes to gather water for everyone. Kordak Falls is described as being long enough to house 100 men side by side and all be able to throw a stone in between each man. It's described that a battle takes place between these two and their little armies that they brought with them, and many creatures actually die. We're also informed about an unknown location off Kordak Falls called the Deep Ocean, to which has no description. We're introduced to a creature named Heritlat, a female Marillion. She observed the feud between the overworld and underworld before, and are also informed that she serves the oligarch, who at the time is unnamed. We conclude the chapter with the introduction of Mar, the Marillion capital, which also has no description. Okay, Chapter 4. It's revealed that Varekar has started to question Khilian and her ways, but also seems more protective over her. We're also introduced to a Mahadil Muges named Farizon, who seemed very interested in mining music and its process. We're also directly told they casted Song of Translocation, meaning that this music is actually pretty ancient. We're then introduced to the Stanton Mines, a location where music is mined and crafted. It's also implied in this chapter that Mipidum lacks any metal of any kind, especially copper, and that issue was remedied thanks to the Stanton Mines. It's also revealed that a Mahadil sneeze sounds like a honk, which is also revealed to be an embarrassing act, such as burping or farting in an elevator. It's also revealed that Khilian and Varekar explore this mine. They find an incapacitated creature, as well as many other incapacitated creatures, and cave snakes, to which is then revealed that Mahadilians are immune to being poisoned. We also get told that Song of True Sight is sung, confirming that you must sing in order to cast music. This means Kaor's basically Elvis, or maybe a deep-voiced Bono. It's also revealed that the wild animals of Param can also cast music with assistance, revealing that a cave snake casted Song of Stasis. We're also shown that a Song of Deflection is being cast by Khilian to defend herself against this cave snake, followed by trills of diminution, and finally an interlude of consequence, turning the snake into a decoration on her staff, giving it some more power and music abilities. Upon notice, Khilian removes a lump from the dead polymorphed snake and finds a rock within, which gave the snake the ability to cast music and have tons of power and fury. This would end Chapter 4. Okay, Chapter 5. It's revealed that this rock is a plain and simple in appearance, and that the snake didn't come from the mines, and it's also explained that the miners reported seeing a large slithering creature, slimy with tentacles. It's explained that underworld muges don't experiment with many music types. really relying on offensive music instead of defensive music or any kind other than that. It's revealed that this rock can also possess creatures or push them into temptation, giving them telepathic and telekinetic powers. Varakar and Kalai work with this rock into a sphere shape, making it somehow stronger by using music to carve it and enhancing its power indirectly instead of carving it using normal traditional tools. Kalai and Varakar use music to suppress some of its power so it can't control the user, forging a new battle gear. The sphere is revealed to look a polished silver, gray, and black with a random pattern on it, which is a rainbow foil in color. Kalai reveals that this small sphere to her peers and allowed a healed Farizon to try it. Farizon is described as a tall, broad, female Mepedian with a wide, flat snout and sharp teeth and bumpy green skin. It's revealed by her peers that this sphere makes you immune to mental attacks and most musics and is now dubbed the Kalai Sphere. Chapter 6. Another High Muge meeting takes place. The High Muges have caught on to Kalai having the Kalai Sphere or some sort of musical power, revealing its power can be felt anywhere in Param who's musically gifted. It's revealed that Kalai's new forged snake staff has been dubbed the Serpent Totem. The other High Muges are informed that the Kalai Sphere is a Mepedian issue and shouldn't worry the people of Param. Kalai reveals to Varakar that she doesn't trust the other High Muges with the sphere and fears they'd conquer Param with its power. It's also revealed to us that the current king of the Mepedians is Kensep, who is the father of Thebsar, or presumably, the king of the Mepedians, meaning creatures of just about every tribe can live thousands of years. Varakar believes the Kalai Sphere should unite Param, where Kalai feels that it would destroy Param, and this would end Chapter 6. Chapter 7. It's revealed that Mar is located in the deep ocean and is a section of Param that isn't entirely mapped out. We're introduced to a fluid morpher named Mahadil, who's the dude on the cover. We're also introduced to a female fluid morpher named Ryan Tar, who isn't really significant in this chapter. Mahadil ventures to the surface world in search of the Kalai Sphere. It's revealed that the deep ocean is near a desert in Mipidum. It's also spoken by Mahadil that fish exist in Param and are not like Marillion, suggesting they're more amphibian in nature. He then shapeshifts into a frilled-looking Mepedian. It's also revealed that Mahadil is pretty cowardly and fearful, yet too curious to not use and see the Kalai Sphere. He's very much like Lord Von Bloot in this aspect. This would end Chapter 7. Chapter 8. It's revealed that the Marillions don't wear any clothes. They're either amphibious or an elemental of sorts. It's also revealed that Mahadil is more blue in nature and apparently blended well in Kensep, suggesting blue Mepedians are a thing, until he is swiftly found by Varakar, who very easily recognizes that he's not a normal Mepedian. Varakar is educated that he is a Marillion and on the other Marillions. Varakar introduces Mahadil to the Kalai Sphere and, big surprise, Mahadil takes it. And that's the end of Chapter 8. Okay, Chapter 9. Two Mepedian guards burst into the room. Mahadil uses a brainwashing ability to control the two guards to fight one another, and he dips like chips on cheese. And then he bumps into Farizon, who then proceeds to get beat by Mahadil and promptly leaves. It's revealed that the current oligarch is named Farental, who is a female Marillion, and Mahadil feels that the Kalai Sphere can allow the Marillions to conquer Param, and this would end Chapter 9. Chapter 10. Kalai rushes into her study to find Varakar and the guards beaten down, and notices that the Kalai Sphere is gone. She then orders some guards to find the sphere. We're then introduced to the Mepedian throne room, which is described as decorated with dragon statues and paintings, as well as a scaly design. Then Kalai interrupts a salesman talking to King Kensep about taxes, which then reveals to us that Param has a money system as well as taxes. We're then introduced to King Kensep, who is described as having horns on his brows, red scales, wings, golden eyes, and a long tail, and is actually directly compared to a dragon. It's revealed that Mepedians are also descendants of dragons. It's revealed that the Kalai Sphere is the size of a Mepedian child's head. We're then introduced to Paraxis, the current Mepedian general, who is then ordered to seal the city of Kensep. It's revealed that King Kensep is aware of the other High Muges. Khilian bumps into a very wounded Farizon, near death, and casts a Song of Restoration music. Farizon reveals to the king and everyone that Mahadil is actually more of a green and gold and grayish color than in his natural form, and that's exactly what he looks like. This would end Chapter 10. Alright, Chapter 11. Varakar revealed to Khilian who the Marilians are and that it's been taken by Mahadil. Mahadil went on a slaughter, attacking Mipidum on his way back to the city of Mar. Khilian reveals to the other High Muges the truth of the Khilian sphere, and they plot together to use the 4 elemental vortices to combat the incoming Marilian invasion. King Kensep discovers that the Marilians have been around for a long time and tend to keep to themselves, which made them feel isolated and gave them time to grow as a tribe. Khilian informs Varakar that the High Muges insist that it's not worth worrying about the Marilians and the Khilian sphere, seeing as they never surfaced until now, waiting to conquer. Varakar admits to Khilian that he directly showed Mahadil the Khilian sphere, which Khilian banishes him from Mipidum forever. This would end Chapter 11. Chapter 12. Mahadil gets a little power hungry and fights the other Marilians in Mar. The Khilian sphere had given him immense telepathic and telekinetic powers and protection from almost every and any attack in Mujic as a whole. We're then introduced to Terran Kar, the Master Fluid Morpher, second in command to the Marilians. Terran Kar battles Mahadil, being able to be on par with him. However, Mahadil does get the upper hand and beats him. And then we're introduced to Ferental, the Alagar. She is described as beautiful with blue-green skin and 3 eyes like triangular pearls, long tentacles that are slender and tipped with delicate barbs. She is portrayed as having a very sharp and great mind. She takes the sphere from Mahadil and feels the immense power, placing herself telepathically into the minds of surrounding Marilians, some collapsing from the sheer power that she oozes from her mind. She announces to her people that she has now possessed power strong enough to rule Param. She then gets praised by a chieftain named Zarlon, as well as another one named Nalar. Ferental informs everyone that they'll destroy one tribe at a time. This concludes Chapter 12. Chapter 13. 2 Mepenians named Gnat and Biganth, led by Darien, left to Kaizef to protect it from the incoming invasion and are met by an overworld Mugus named Tanita and another Muge named Wilrab. The Marilians point out to Kaizef, which Heritlat remained behind to help guide a retreat just in case. Mahadil leads the charge to Kaizef, creating an ice bridge. Gnat notices and there are intruders in Kaizef and retaliated. A Mepedian named Maranak gets brainwashed and unleashes ice-themed attacks, making him not only a rare Mepedian who could do water-based attacks, but the first brainwashed creature in Chaotic. Tanita offers to cast the Cascade Symphony music, which then strikes the Fluid Morpher army, sending a lot of them flying like wisps in a strong wind. The Fluid Morpher army returns to the bridge, and the chapter concludes with Gnat and Tanita planning to cast music to move Kaizef away from its current position, away from the Marilians. Chapter 14. Varakar shows back up and saves Gnat and Tanita, showing he's got quite the musical power now and will be introduced to a damaging music called Song of Darkness. Varakar confronts Mahadil and they initiate combat. Mahadil actively bleeds, being described as oozing from his wounds, while the other High Muges and small armies from each other tribe arrives to Kaizef in order to defend it. Mahadil flees to the water vortex, attempting to take its power, and starts to shake Kaizef, crashing it towards Lake Kenepo, damaging the other vortices. The Marilians push out the other tribes. Mahadil had conquered Kaizef and returns to Mar to inform the Ulagar. This ends Chapter 14. Chapter 15. Khilian orders the other High Muges to flee to their respective chambers and goes to inform Kensep. Kensep reveals that he has conquered the Mipidum Oasis before and is rather wrathful, donning a golden armor, presumably the Zerium armor. It's revealed that the Danians possess the largest army in this time, and Kensep leaves to aid the Danians in case of the oncoming invasion. This ends Chapter 15. Okay, Chapter 16. We're introduced to the Danian Queen Ibikara. She's described as being very ancient, yet youthful, enough to lead. We're also introduced to Veronil, the Danian warlord and the master to the Queen's legions. We're also introduced to Gibitin, the leading Danian noble and the Queen's consort. Veronil is shown to be able to fly and leads a charge against the incoming Marillion army that's heading towards them. They are then swiftly defeated, with the Queen straight up being killed. Khilian discovers that she had a Mujic safekeep in the form of crystal orbs. We're also informed of a pale green colored Mujic, and inside this Mujic lied the spirit of her former master and mentor, Marinak. It's also revealed that Param is not a planet, however, it's more of a continent on a planet, because Khilian had gained a power that could be felt on the edges of Param and not the rest of the planet. Khilian runs off to join her king in battle, which would end chapter 16. Alright, we're in the home stretch. We're introduced to Yerek, the leader of the overworld, and Diragar, the leader of the underworld. Sonara gets possessed by the Marillions. Khilian casts a red magician called Hymn of Unity, which teleported her to her friends such as Farizon, Kirun, Shimo, and Ayla. We don't get descriptions on a majority of them, so big whoop. Kensep gets brainwashed by the Marillions and dominates the battle. We also see Varakar being brainwashed by Mahadil, and both confront Khilian. Khilian flees, realizing that she can't win, and the four tribes were under their control, and that's where Chaotic the Khilian Sphere ends. So yeah, that was the Khilian Sphere by Aaron Rosenberg. I took notes one for one on what happened in each chapter. We do know that eventually Param kind of returns to a normal state, but there is a lot to talk about. So first of all, I guess the order of how the Mahadil rules go is King Kensep, then Thebsar. Then Thebsar surrendered his title to Prince Iflar, who took over, and then Thebsar presumably comes back, which will then be revealed in my next video project that I'll be going over another book that I'll be touching on. Spoiler alert, it's the ultimate guide to all things chaotic. I'll be doing a little thing on this book in a little bit. But anyway, then we have the overworld, which has that one character. Let's see here. Oh my god, I did a bunch of recordings. Yerek, the leader of the overworld. Then presumably it was Kiru. Then it would have been, I'm assuming, Maxor's dad or grandpa. Then Maxor's dad / Maxor himself, then lastly would be Maxor. Then we have the Danians, which was that Danian queen that's mentioned in this book. Then it would have to be Alexia and then Azazel. Then we have the underworld, which has Dyragar, D-Y-R-A-G-A-R, Dyragar. Then presumably Kal, then presumably Kiru, then presumably Kaor, considering that Kaor is a descendant of Kiru. But during at some point, I think towards the end of this book, we get the main chaotic past episodes, like through season 3, basically, where all the kids time travel and we find out a little more about Param. I think that comes next, and then we have modern chaotic as we know it. Lots of interesting information. The fact that a green Mujic exists out there, for what does that mean? I don't know. The fact that there is a Mujic that does require the 4 basic tribes that we all know about in order to cast. That's nuts. In terms of the ending, it's unfortunate that the bad guys win. It's certainly different from how the second Marillion invasion comes along. So it sounds like at some point the Marillions are defeated, they're pushed by the doors of the deep mines, they're locked in until Felfort gets discovered by Kaibon and that other underworlder. Then the Marillion invasion happens for a second time. I wonder though, because it sounds like there was something lost in translation where thousands of years have passed, and I guess just history was lost, and the Marillions were forgotten about, and then they come back. So I guess now they're really going to be stuck in history, not only in modern Param, because of the second Marillion invasion, but just in general. Not once is the Frozen mentioned in this book, because this book came out at 2010, towards the end of Chaotic's lifespan, where the Frozen was being discussed and all this other fun stuff. And in case you don't know who the Frozen are, they're potentially a sixth tribe. Because tribeless isn't a tribe. They're tribeless. Duh. That makes sense. And it is revealed at some point that the tribes weren't even a thing. In fact, they started as tribeless and they wound up making tribes and stuff. So I guess my next question out to everybody is, thinking about the episode, the Codemaster Chronicles Part 1 from Season 1, we know when Tom looks at Proboscar, I wonder if that would be the modern representation of Proboscar, being an overworlder. I'm assuming that the same thing happened to Smilden, but we can't really say anything about Chromax. Chromax was, ancestor to Maxor, so presumably an overworlder, but as we found out with Kiru turning into an underworlder, that's not always the case. So who knows? Ursus, though, he's very much a warrior muge. That is what's stated on his card. And we do get a lot of warrior muges for the underworld specifically in this book. So I'm led to believe that he's probably an underworlder, to be perfectly honest. But I don't make the rules, I'm just speculating. But with that being said, that was the Cliff's Notes version of Chaotic the Client Sphere. My personal opinion about it, honestly, if you're into lore, chaotic lore, stuff like that, pick it up. It's fine. It's not nearly as bad as everyone says it is, but it's also not nearly as good as I thought it was going to be. I will definitely say this. It is a fun read to pass the time. It's a very short read, too, may I add. Including the prologue and everything at the beginning, it's like about 208 pages. Like, look, the last page is 203. Right there. Come on, focus. There we go. 203. And for those of you who don't know, this is Kalai. This is our main character. Then we have Varikar, and that right there is Mahadil. This cover was drawn by Kerry Randolph, and I'm assuming inked and shaded and all that by Emilio Lopez, and that's who also designed Maxor Protector of Param, was Kerry Randolph, Emilio, and there was one other person, but it doesn't matter. Point being, I'll get into that when I eventually cover this. Now, I read through this a little bit after the Klein Sphere, just to kind of see if things lined up. There's a lot of information in here that is super cool, super different, and will give us a little taste of what's to come in the future for Chaotic. And we get to learn a little bit about King Thapsar. We get to learn about possibly the future of Chaotic right here. And I cannot wait to do that video. So with that being said, guys, that was Chaotic the Client Sphere. If I had to give this book a rating, 7.5 out of 10. That's just my personal opinion, but if I was really biased, I would say, 8 out of 10, but I'm going to be honest, it's a 7.5. It's a nice, easy read. It's more chaotic. So if you want a little more chaotic, go pick this up on Amazon, find it at a local bookstore if, they're selling, discounted books or things like that. Or, bam, there you go. I just spoiled the entire book for you. There you go. So, with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. I don't know if that will be an ultimate guide video, a major reveal video, a collection video, or something like that in between. I really don't know. So, I guess, with that being said, be good.